Why mid-career professionals only get one interview in 6 months. The reason you're applying to hundreds of jobs online, but only getting one interview in 6 months isn't because you're not qualified enough. It's because you're working on too many applications. In other words, you're busy, but in the wrong ways. When I started helping mid-career professionals 10 years ago, I kept seeing the same pattern. Talented people with amazing experience applying to job after job with nothing to show for it. And it wasn't until I learned why this approach fundamentally can't work that everything changed for my clients. In this video, I'll show you why you feel so busy applying, why this is keeping you stuck in your current role or in a job search that goes nowhere, and most of all, how to focus your effort on the right opportunities so you can turn your busy work into actual interviews and land the role that you actually want. So let me give you two examples of why the numbers game doesn't work. First, let's say you've got a magnifying glass and you want to burn a hole through a piece of paper. If you don't get the magnifying glass at the right distance, you're just going to have a big circle of light, but it's not concentrated enough to burn through. You have to get that sweet spot so you can get that tiny focus beam, and then all of a sudden it breaks through. But that's only when you concentrate the light. Now, let's say you want to throw a party on a Friday night, but instead of throwing one party, you decide to throw 4 parties. You might think, wow, none of my parties worked out, but it would be obvious why they didn't work out. You never got enough critical mass. If you combined all the people you were going to invite into one party, that party would take off and become something special. This is basically what you're doing with job applications. You only have a certain number of hours, only a certain amount of time and energy that you can put into tailoring applications, reaching out to people, and following up. But you're trying to start 4 parties all at once, and you're wondering why none of them are working. And the reason this happens is because job seekers get reinforced the first time they apply to a bunch of jobs and something works out. You think, I applied to 50 jobs and I got 1 interview, so I should just apply to 500 jobs so I can get 10 interviews. But you got reinforced for the wrong thing. It wasn't the volume that worked. It was finding the right opportunity plus positioning yourself correctly for it. So what does this all mean? There's a concept that gets misunderstood in job searching, and that's strategy. Strategy isn't just about applying to a bunch of roles. It's about prioritizing limited resources, your time, your energy, and your focus against unlimited options. It's about deciding what you will apply to and, just as importantly, what you won't. So if I ask, what's your target role? And you say, I'm looking for a wide range of roles, I already know that you don't have a clear priority. Because by definition, priority means one thing that comes first. Right now, you're struggling to focus your resources. You're trying to apply to a range of different types of roles at once, which means you're spreading yourself thin and not going deep on any of them. Instead, take all of that research time, all of your networking energy, and all of your application customization and channel it into one focused opportunity, a specific target role. That's when things really start to click. Let me tell you about what some job seekers tell me, especially if they're in transition after a layoff. The daily routine, honestly, is like they're making it their job to look for a job, and they're sitting at their desk 9 to 5. And it's a lot of busy work, but at the end, they feel somewhat productive, feeling like they did accomplish something, but they have nothing to show for it, right? There's no outcome coming out of that. And some applications are taking them like 2 hours. So it's really inefficient and ineffective. I spoke with someone who had applied to 1,000 jobs in less than 2 months with a 0.5% interview rate from all of that effort and all of that time. They were not quality applications, obviously. When you're churning out that volume, there's no way that you're going to research the company, understand their pain points, and customize your resume to show that you have all of the requirements, or reaching out to anyone at the company. The emotional state when someone finally reaches out to me like this is that they're burnt out for sure. And some people are actually burnt out in an existing job too. People who are working but want to make a career move and they feel dejected, depressed, sad, and like something must be wrong with them. And they feel puzzled as well because they don't understand why, when they have this amazing experience and they're clearly qualified for the jobs, they don't understand why no one's even looking at their resume to figure out that they have the qualifications ultimately. It's really confusing and it's puzzling to them. Here's what's really happening here. When you're applying to everything, you're essentially throwing a wide, weak net instead of a targeted and strong one. Think about it like this. Would you rather have a conversation with someone who clearly researched your company, understands your challenges, and can articulate exactly how they're going to solve your specific problems? Or someone who sent the same generic resume to 200 companies that week? The real cost of the spray and pray approach is this. Every generic application that you send actually hurts your chances because you're training yourself to be mediocre. You're getting comfortable with good enough instead of exceptional. And exceptional is who gets noticed ultimately. One of the most dramatic transformations I see, and I've seen it happen many times, is how the job search becomes focused and strategic. That shift alone helps my clients massively increase their interview rate. So one client is coming to mind right now who was not getting interviews from his applications before we met. After working together, Karan started getting a 30 to 40% interview rate from his applications after we did the work together. Think about that transformation. He went from getting few interviews to getting interviews from 30 to 40% of his applications. But here's what's really important. He wasn't applying to more jobs. He was applying to fewer jobs, but doing them right instead of spending 2 hours on each application doing busy work. Here's what Karan did differently. We created a master resume that made tailoring his resume much faster and much more strategic. He then researched the company's recent challenges, figured out exactly what problems they were trying to solve, and positioned his experience as the solution. He reached out to people who work there and had real conversations about the role before applying. Most importantly, he stopped treating job applications like a lottery ticket, and he started treating them like business proposals. Because that's what they are. You are proposing to solve their problems in exchange for your compensation. The result? Within 90 days, Karan landed an incredible, life-changing offer. Here's what Karan realized. Trying to be everything to everyone made him nothing to no one. When he focused on being the perfect solution for a specific type of role, companies started seeing him as exactly what they needed. Here's what I want you to understand. Your job search doesn't have to be a numbers game where you hope something sticks. When you focus your effort like a magnifying glass instead of spreading it like a flashlight, companies come looking for you. If you want results like Karan got, here's what you can do right now. First, get my free training, Master Your Mid-Career Job Search. I break down the 4-step formula to outsmart the online application system and land your best, most fulfilling role in mid-career. Second, if you want to work directly with me to focus your job search like this, book a call using the link below. We'll figure out what's keeping you scattered and map out your priority path forward. The link is in the description as well. Third, subscribe and follow me on LinkedIn and YouTube. I share strategies like this every week that help mid-career professionals stop playing the lottery and start being strategic. Remember, the people who land quickly don't apply to more jobs. They apply to the right jobs in the right way. Stop hosting 4 week parties and start throwing one that everyone wants to attend.